I was the smartest kid in my school.
Same.
It was easy for me.
Yeah.
Teachers loved me.
Yeah.
I got away with everything because they're like so-and-so's going to grammar school.
Yeah.
And then I got to Camp Hill, and I think I was like the dumbest guy there. That's what I felt like. That's what I felt like. I had this core memory that I remember I was telling my wife about it. Like one of the first things I ever told her was like, oh, the first ever English essay that we had. I thought I killed it, and I kind of hid the paper away. I'm like, yeah, I'm never looking at that again. I'm never telling anyone about that. That doesn't happen to me. And then even like hearing people speak and the intellect they were speaking with, like I was like, you know, I don't belong
So
here.
just to clarify, the reason we say this is because we were born and grew up in, I think it's fair to say, a underprivileged part of Birmingham.
Yeah.
Where, you know, going to grammar school, I think I was probably the one of 2 or 3 in the area, in the schools that made it to grammar school, whereas there's private schools and there's other primary schools that have a higher percentage of people going through to grammar school. So it was quite rare for us. I think our year specifically
So for me,
probably
again,
had the most Asian faces in it.
probably year below, year above and us. It's probably the 3 that had a lot. So in my primary school, it was just 2 of us. So me and a mutual friend of ours as well, Mo. So we were the only 2. Me and him were and my brothers.
Which primary school was it? Do you want to shout it out?
Yeah, shout out Springfield School. They finally fixed that window. They hadn't fixed it the whole time I was there, but finally fixed the window. But I think me, him, and my 2 brothers, up until the point I got in, were the only 4 people ever in that school to make grammar school. Maybe and 1 or 2 others out there, but it was a rare incident coming from that primary school for you to tell your teacher or the head teacher, I made it to grammar school. It was made a big deal. I remember hearing it all the time from people.
Oh, he's going to go to grammar school.
You're going to grammar school. You're going to grammar school. Well done, you're going to grammar school. And they used to say to me as well, oh, there's a kid in that other class that's going to grammar school. Like, do you know him? Like, he's going to grammar school. And it's like, I didn't realize how big a deal it is until you get older and realize how deprived the area is. Because when you live in Sparky, especially when you're under 10, 11 years old, that's your world. You don't know about the Sutton Coalfields and the Solihull's and the Edgbastons. You don't know about private. I didn't know a private school existed until I got into grammar school and met people that paid to go to primary school. I was just like, but you just
is that
turn
even
up.
a thing? Yeah.
You just turn up and you share experiences of like, oh, I know it probably sounds silly, but it's just like, as a kid especially, it's like, my playground had this and that. And I was like, oh, but we had chalk on the floor for hopscotch, and that was our playground.
Yeah.
Like we'd put 2 bottles down to play football with a tennis ball. And they were like, oh no, we had this facility and that facility. And like, for me, Camp Hill's facilities were, I was like, this amazing rugby field.
For me, it's like Hogwarts when I first went there, man.
Yeah.
I was like, this big drive,
and some
big
people were
building,
talking about
we've
going,
got football pitches, we've got hockey,
my
we've got
private school's
rugby.
better than this. And I was like, was it? Like, I'm literally used to concrete and like litter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think one piece of advice that I give people is don't force your children down that path. Because look, if you go to tuition 4 times a week for 2.5 years, there's a very good chance that you'll be armed with the skills and the tools to pass your 11 plus and get into grammar school.
Yeah.
But that's where it starts. And so unless you're that way minded, it can almost be detrimental. You'll know if your child's showing signs of being able to perform at that level.
Yeah.
Don't try and shoehorn them into it because it gets harder.
I think it's a fine balance, because I take what you said and based on our own experiences, like there was a level of burnout when it came to a certain point for probably a core group of us. Like when we got to like year 10, we started misbehaving a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that stemmed from maybe us feeding into each other, or all the boys are together, let's have more fun, we get away, strength in numbers. But I think maybe underlying tone behind that is it's burnout. It's since the age of 6, 7, 8, whenever you started tuition, it's just been non-stop, relentless. Luckily, we were all lucky in that we were able to overcome that, get it out of our system. And by the time GCSEs, A-levels, whatever, we were able to kind of still steady the ship.
But you say that, right? But approaching A-levels, I remember a lot of us got letters at the end of GCSEs to say, here's your options for other colleges.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think we were going to make it.
I think that's maybe fed in also to the misbehavior. It's, I don't want to call it confidence or arrogance or whatever it might, whatever label you want to put. I think, just speaking personally, I think I knew I would get pretty good GCSEs. I just knew I would. So when I was
But do you
failing,
think that's because the school armed us with this ability
yes,
to cram and pass exams?
I don't think grammar school just equipped me with being a little bit smarter or a little bit better at GCSEs. I think when the standard of teaching and the way they taught you, and it's teachers that care as well.
Yeah.
And I think who I am as a person right now, and when I see how other people are, even in my own career, I'm not saying I'm better or worse, but what I feel I'm equipped with better than what they're equipped with, I put it all down to grammar school. I don't put it down to primary. I don't put it down to my university.
Okay.
When it comes to education side of things,
Okay.
I put it all down to what we learned at Camp Hill. I think when you're talking about Sid, me and him are quite in agreement with this. Talking about Dr. Taylor. I hated Dr. Taylor when we had school. But if you ask me about him now,
yeah,
I love the guy. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be who I was today. Like, he cared, and
at the time you didn't realize, right? I was like, guys, get off my case, man. He's always putting me in detention.
At the time, you didn't also realize was, again, from our backgrounds, how many people in your life did you have that cared? And that genuinely cared, not cared about what you bring to the table, that my son's this clever, he's going to be this career, this profession, this school, or whatever it might be. So-and-so, I know someone that's, it was purely, it made no difference to him. He'd been doing it 20 years prior to when we got this. He was doing it 20 years prior, post us leaving.
Sure.
It's the genuine care. And you almost don't appreciate that at the time because you're a kid. But when you look back and you think, actually, if it wasn't him being on my case, it was something about that sat with me and thought, actually, even if it was, I'm going to get in trouble and detention from Dr. Taylor, let me just do it today.
Yeah.
And it just
builds habits, right?
It forced a habit. And I don't think you quite get that. And that's not talking ill of any other school or any other teacher. It's not saying only grammar school teachers are good teachers and normal state schools are bad teachers.
Sure.
I just think to be consistently at the top of the table in terms of grades and professions and character of people that they produce.
Do you remember the first assembly we had in year 7, where I think it was Mr. Brooker?
Yeah.
Brooker,
yeah.
Brooker. He was the head.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah. R.I.P. And he said, I don't care whether you leave here with GCSEs or A-levels, but I want you to leave here as good people.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing he said.
Yeah.
And I think grammar schools and institutions get a lot of stick for being all about performance and all about grades. But our very first assembly, that's what he said. Yeah. It was a culture shock for us, I think, coming into that environment where you have to be at assembly at a certain time. Your blazer has to be ironed and clean. Your tie has to be done up. Your top button has to be done up. If you walk into assembly and top button's done up, you'll get in detention. So yeah, I think little bits of discipline like that were really important, because at the time we're like, oh man, what is tie, blazer nonsense? You don't understand it. Yeah. But as you get older, you realize that certain things stick with you. And so it's almost like, I won't call it a finishing school, but it's way more than the education.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about Mr. Bulloch.
What's Mr. Bulloch's famous line that everyone remembers? It's man as maketh man.
Shortly after filming this conversation, we received the sad news that Alistair Bulloch had passed away. We would like to dedicate this conversation to his life's work at King Edward VI Camp Hill School for Boys. We hope his family can find some comfort in hearing our fond memories of him and the impact he had on our lives, as well as the lives of countless others.
And at the time, it was just like, shut up, man.
Yeah.
Like, you say it all the time, like, I'm fine, I am who I am. But like, when you look now and you see someone that is a little bit ill-mannered, it's almost like, why are you like this? Why are you not? Because like, manners cost nothing. And like, you almost look at them and think you're going to regret it when you're older, the way you're behaving, because it's not going to get you very far in life. Just being well-mannered will get you so far in life. Forget how rich you are, how good you are at your job, how clever you are, what you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
People with good manners stick with you. I'm in a position now where I was interviewing people to come work for me. And I had an interviewee and the manners weren't there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't think that of myself, that being that type of interviewer, that type of person.
But it stands out, right?
You might have saw it a little bit, when we had that little collaboration and you saw me as quite a tough interviewer.
Yeah.
But you've come in with lack of manners. And I know we might see it different now, but you coming into an interview with your top button not done up and a tie and actual formal shoes.
It's mad how it goes full
And it's just
circle.
like, instantly you're like, why have you done this?
Yeah.
Because you're showing you don't care.
You don't care enough. Yeah.
So how are you going to care about this career? How are you going to care about my business? This is something really important to me. I'm bringing you on board. I need you to buy into the idea and care. If you're not going to do that at the interview, how are you going to do that?
How am I going to trust you're going to do it going forward?
Yeah. And it's crazy because you don't think you're that person, because casually, I don't care what you're wearing. You don't care what I'm wearing. You'll see someone, you'd be like, whether it's the nicest trainers or the worst trainers, you're like, oh yeah, it's cool. But the minute you go into like this professional mode, the school stuff comes flooding back and you're like, but did you hold that door open for someone?
Yeah.
Did you do this for someone?
Because again, that was another thing, right?
Yeah.
Teachers walk in, you stand up. People have their opinions on it, but there's narrations to suggest that when a scholar or somebody learned walks into a room, you should stand up out of respect.
Yeah.
And so I just think that despite at the time, and again, this is a message to the parents out there who are watching, who have children at that age, who are considering, grammar school education. If your child shows some promise, I think it would be a missed opportunity if you didn't push them towards grammar school education, especially because it's free.
And I think it's probably a cliche, it's a common thing that as kind of ethnic minorities, we are a little like a step behind when it comes to getting on corporate ladders, getting jobs, getting interviews. Now, I think you suddenly look at the CV and you think, oh, grammar school educated. You may be going to the middle of the pile. Analogy I would kind of give is what you said, like, if you don't show natural talent, let's say if everyone's in the race, grammar school gives you trainers to run that race, or everyone else will be barefoot if you have it.
Yeah.
You might not finish that race, but at least you've got the equipment to give it a good go, rather than not have the shoes in the beginning.
Sure.
That's the way I kind of see grammar school. That, okay, don't force it down their throat. Don't give them burnout, but try as much as you can to utilize that opportunity.
I think it's a great backup, right? And I say that, I'll explain it. If you're not sure what you want to do, now if you're 14, 15, 16 watching this, or you're a parent of a child who's at that similar age, and they're not sure what to do or where they want to go, it's always a great idea to keep your options open, right? Now, if you leave school with a great set of GCSEs and a great set of A-levels, at the absolute worst, it means that I can choose medicine or dentistry or accountancy. Or if you don't want to go down those routes, the kind of vocations, and you want to do something like AI, web development, graphic design, whatever you want to go into, what I felt like grammar school did for me was it got me to a point where I had no idea what I wanted to do at 15, no idea at 16, no idea at 18, no idea at 21. But when I did decide, my grades and my performance weren't going to hold me back because it was a box that was ticked. It left my options open. So from this point here, I can go into whichever sector I want to. And I think that's important because more and more so now, the next generation is maturing later than we matured, and way later than our parents and our grandparents matured.
And I think the future generations will mature even
later. So it's better to have your options open for when you do mature. When you reach that point of like, actually, I want to pursue a career in X, right? It's better to have that option and have the grades to be able to do it. And again, the education system, unfortunately, where we live, the country we live in, the world we live in, very much relies on getting good grades. If you want to get into good universities, and the same applies for universities. So the similar principles that we saw in grammar school with, slightly teachers that care a bit more, better education, better facilities, it translates to college.
Jumping on that point, it's like one thing another memory I had from my university days is, so in my course, the first year we were doing about the human body and anatomy and like physiology and stuff. And there was people next to me really struggling with it because, again, there's a lot of self-learning in university. University is they'll just shout the lecture out at you and walk out. But like, I don't want to say I found it easy, but I was just like, I was grasping the concept quite quickly. And I was barely writing any notes. And people were turning to me like, oh, do you understand all of this? I was like, yeah. They're like, why are you not writing any notes? I was like, oh, because it's easy, right? And they're like, how? I don't. And again, at the time, you don't realize, you have to do a lot of reflecting back. I think you only take the value of your education once you're old enough to understand and you're thinking about the next generation you want to put into education. I'm saying, obviously, I'm not a parent yet, but You already
Inshallah
start
one day.
thinking, though, inshallah one day, but you start thinking of that. Like, it's like, I'm really grateful for those, for going to grammar school.
Yeah.
Because of not only everything we just spoke about, but it's the circle of friends that you have around with you now. It's like, there's value in it. And that doesn't just mean monetary value or business value. It's moral value. It's teaching each other things all the time. It's like, I know I got married after every one of the boys, all of my
I
mates.
don't know how you managed that. I thought you were still going to be saying that.
Same. But it's just like, I leaned on different people for different aspects. And this is one of the things I spoke to my wife about. I was like, there's a big value in my circle because I was able to lean on, like, I don't know, having both sides of the family in Birmingham, having one side in Birmingham, the other side far away. Like, how did you balance? I understand how you balance it when one's close and one's far, because the close ones are easier to prioritize. And the far one, you go when you can because it's so far.
Yeah.
But when they're both in, how do you balance that? Who's the priority? How do you avoid arguments? How do you do this? How do you do that? And so if I hadn't had that with me, because I trusted the opinion, because those people showed good character, they showed good decision making, they showed that.
But also been through the same process that you'd been through.
Yeah.
And you kind of like,
And I
okay,
know-
if you made it through grammar school and you've made it into X career, and again, not from a monetary perspective, but generally to make it as one of the top surgeons in the country, you got to have a bit of character and a bit of,
And it's like the fact that I've stuck with you for 20 years shows that we line up morally, we understand each other, we rate each other type thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so
it's hard to find people to trust on it these days. It's hard to find an opinion because everyone's got an opinion on something.
And it's that platform from what school we went to. Because everyone else, I'm not going to obviously disrespect other people. I didn't go there and I've been friends for life from their primary schools, but it's just like, they might have had that opinion and that same person to lean on, but it's like, I think it's more valuable in the circle that we've got to be able to achieve it's almost even kept us on the steady path. Like, would we have all gone to the university route
Not a
if
chance.
X wasn't going, I'm going to go because I can't be the only one that's not going?
We wouldn't have got to university if we didn't go to Camphill.
Yeah.
If we didn't go to grammar school. Like, I'm
for sure.
very firmly of the belief that it was the discipline. It was the fact that you don't do your work. You're staying behind every Thursday for an hour.
Yeah.
If you mess up too badly, you're coming on a Saturday morning and picking up leaves off the fields for 3 hours.
Yeah, I lived in detention.
If it wasn't for that, I think when I left, I had like 30 unserved detentions left at the end of the year. I was in detention every single week.
Had to go mosque to get out of detention. Yeah, but the thing is, it's that low key as well of, Mozin's going to university. I can't not go to university.
So this is an annoyance. I'm gonna address this for the first time in my life. Right, I'm 36 years old. My name's Mohsin. All these lot from the age of 11.
You call me Shammus earlier. It's Shammus.
I know, but that's just the other way of pronouncing. I'll call you Tree. If you want to go down, let's go down the tree route. Right?
I don't call. When's the last time I called you Mozin or Mohsin? I call you Tata.
It's true. So yeah, all my friends.
You can cut that bit out if you want.
No. We're leaving it all in there. This is unfiltered.
I never call him by his name.
Hold on. We're having this now.
So you know our friend circle. Well, I don't think any of us call each other
by their names,
by their actual full proper name.
But wait, before we do, I want to explain this, right? So and we're going to go into where these names came from as well now, because now you mentioned it.
Okay.
So all these guys, right, that I went to school with, some of my best friends, and known them for 20, 30 years, 25 years, still call me Mozin. The Muslims call me Mozin. The non-Muslims call me Mozin. So it's just stuck. But yeah, we don't call each other by our...
Yeah.
The last time I referred to you as Shammus or Shammus is, I don't know, probably like 20 years ago.
Formal occasions. My wedding, you did the speech.
And on formal occasions. But he's Tree. The reason why he's Tree, because he's a lanky and he's got big gangly arms. He looks like a tree. So that's very self-explanatory. And I guess my nickname.
Do you want to explain it, or shall we just leave it?
You can explain it if you want.
I think I started it.
You started it. I started Tree and you started that.
So I think it was so around about time when we were talking about like year 10, we were rowdy young men.
I know the exact point, by the way, so I'll let you finish.
So we were on the bus, I think.
We were on the bus. Where was the bus?
It was a number 11 bus. We were going from Camphill.
Addison Road. Off the high street. I can't remember exactly
where it was, but I know we were on the number 11 bus, and it was at the time where what we spoke about earlier, we were at a point where we were kind of in our
quite
strength in numbers, rowdy mentality. And then you always have one in the group. He's the littlest, but he's the loudest. But when it comes to shove and something kicks off, he goes very quiet. So So that's where it came from. It was, expand, and then pop. I think we were saying that on the bus, and it was just kind of, that was a Monday. Tuesday, everyone was like, oh, Tata. And Mozin had died, and Tata was born.
Tata was born. Yeah. So
yeah, kind of just stuck from there.
We got to the point where we discussed grammar school, whether parents should encourage their children to go, the benefits of it. I want to talk to you about the actual journey in the school now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got into grammar school. I think for all of us, it was like, okay, someone's being picked up in a Bentley. Someone's being dropped off in a whatever car, right? I remember the first day I left the house. I used to live about a 50-minute journey I was the furthest on the number 11. Stechford.
Yeah.
And so I got dropped off in the morning by my dad.
Yeah.
Finished school. Came out. And so my dad pulled up outside the school, rolled his window down, gave me 50p. So there you go, son, get on the bus. This is the first day of year 7.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because they were trying to shock our system, whatever, but I remember going with an empty bag and coming back with like 20 books.
Textbooks
like that thick.
Yeah.
And I think so the culture shock was across the board. It wasn't just in the classroom. It was outside the classroom. It was when it came to sports. Some of us were okay at some sports, but we're now competing with people that have been playing like county level football or cricket or hockey or rugby from the age of 8, 9. We're like, what's rugby, bro? Like, and rugby was compulsory.
Yeah.
So you imagine like, I don't know, 15 Asian lads from
who didn't like getting the kit dirty because their mum was going to shout at them because they had mud in the washing machine.
Exactly. Or you've got like one pair of shorts and one top and you can't get it messed up. And then you go play rugby, you come out and Mr. Cookson, he's like, right, kit off, get in the shower. And you're like, what? It was a massive culture shock. It was different. The language was different. We got called by our surnames.
Yeah.
No one knew each other's first name for a while because like Khan, Tabrez, Nauji. So you go through school. We had such an for me it was the best time, man. We had such an amazing time.
I think it's crazy because we think it's normal, but when you speak to people, and
I don't
you're
think it is.
You still speak to the people that you went to secondary school. I was like, they're literally my only mates that I consider genuine friends.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, oh yeah, I'm friendly, I'm good friends, I get to know them. But people find it crazy that when we say stuff like that, oh, secondary school was actually the best.
Oh man,
it was so good. And maybe we were the benefit of, we started when internet and social media wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And we ended when it was.
Yeah.
And we got a blend of the whole life. We had the MSN, we had the parties, whatever you want to call it, the bus journeys, there was probably some not great times, and probably we brushed it off.
Few and far between though, right? And I think because you're young, you kind of just...
I think when you look at it back now, I think you look back now, as in lessons, as you progressed in it, the lessons did get tougher. The education side did get tougher. So there was stresses available in there, and there was a...
But I don't think we brought that on ourselves because we did literally no work all year round.
Yes and no.
And then
I think
when it came to exam time, we're like, oh, crap.
Yes and no, because I think there's a minimum expectation we brought on ourselves by being in the school that we were in. Not only from teachers, but you have to get A's and B's minimum. Because you'd speak to people and you'd be like, how do you get your GCSE? And they'd be like, oh, bro, I passed. And you'd look at that
I got
and be
5 passes or
what
6
does
passes.
What does that mean?
For us, it was like,
give me your grades. And they were like, oh, and again, no disrespect to them, but I did really well. I got like C's and D's. And being a grammar school boy, you'd be like, no, not in a million years. Like, I can't get that.
Yeah.
Like, everyone that I know will come down on me, not just my parents and family. My
but
friends would ridicule me.
Like, as
my teachers
we'd have cussed the shit out of you.
Yeah. Like my teachers, they'd come down and be like, why you turned up today for the results day? Take this paper, throw it in the bin. Yeah. And that's how brutal they were with each other. Yeah. And whether you can get away with that now in today's society, probably not.
Yeah. That would be interesting. It'd be interesting to know how
I think it's changed.
The culture's changed internally.
I don't see a child not wearing his tie get grabbed by the scruff of the neck and go, why isn't this up?
Pinned against the lockers.
Yeah, why isn't this up? I don't see that happening in today's time. But to us, it was the norm. It was, oh, next time Mr. Bulloch, Dr. Taylor sees me, that tie's going to be up. And now you might have thought it was the wrong way of doing it. I'm not saying necessarily the right way of doing it. But now when I go to work and I put a tie on, my tie's up.
Yeah.
It's never down.
Yeah.
If I go to like a wedding where I'm not trying to look presentable, my tie's up. It's never down.
Yeah.
It's never scruffy.
Yeah.
And that's just me personally.
Yeah. But I think that makes you stand out though, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like they were teaching us lessons then that we didn't know we were learning, right? Perhaps at home we wouldn't have been taught.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for us specifically, it was even more important, I think, from the background we came from, because not only did it give us a good education, a good sound education, it also taught us the way of the world that we wouldn't have otherwise come across in terms of if you're late by a minute or two to assembly, detention, blazer, tie.
I mean, that never sat with me, the lateness. That my whole life, I'm still late.
I mean, I'm surprised you turned up on time today, to be fair. I'm quite impressed with that one. But do you get what I mean? Like, it taught us lessons that we wouldn't have learned otherwise. One thing that remained with us, though, and I think we both agree on this, is that there was pressure from school, there was pressure from teachers, and there was potential detention. But there was also pressure from home. Twice a year, or at some point, we'd have a smaller report card, and then the larger one with the full, explanation of what you've done, and followed by parents' evening. So tell me about your approach to parents' evening.
So I think.
By the way, anyone watching this, don't do anything we say.
Disclaimer: don't do this.
This isn't. Don't try this at home. This
Work
is just
hard in school, kids.
Yeah.
So we were in grammar school and like sixth form for 7 years, and at the 7 parents' evening in the summer, my parents went to 0 parents' evenings.
How did you manage that?
Every year, I kind of made an excuse, and the excuses got more elaborate as the years got on because my behavior took a nosedive. So the need to see my parents increased, but my willingness to let a parent come had decreased even more. So I had to get a little bit creative. So at the start, it was pretty much like the standard excuse you can use, especially as an Asian. Oh, my dad's not in the country, he's gone Pakistan. And in year 7, because the grades were okay and the behavior was all right, it was like, okay, yeah, fine. And it goes toward the end of the kind of, I think it's about, I peaked at probably year 10 or year 11. And I think this is a story I've told quite a few people. And people always say to me at the end of this story, and I'm aware of it, is if you had worked this hard in school as you did with this, you wouldn't have to do all of this.
But this is more fun, isn't it?
Came to, obviously, school, and I'm getting it in the neck of when your parents come in. So I had to be like, oh, again, my dad's unavailable. And going back to Dr. Taylor, he was like, that's unacceptable. And if Dr. Taylor listens to this, forgive me. So he was like, that's unacceptable. I'm going to speak to him on the phone instead. Oh, okay, so that's fine.
This was a story I was hoping that came out of this.
Yeah, so I go, okay, so that's fine. And I gave him my dad's phone number. And then in the evening, I went, back in the day, these are Nokia phones. And there's an ability to call divert on the phone.
Yeah.
And so my dad went upstairs to go to sleep. And I took his phone out, put the call divert on. But there's a little arrow in the corner. And I was like, oh, he's going to think, what's that arrow? So I changed the background to a black background to get rid of the arrow. So then the morning comes and he comes to me and goes, what's wrong with my phone? It's gone all black. I was like, oh, I don't have time right now. I'll fix it in the evening for you. I got to go to school. Now, having done that, I've now changed the number to a friend of mine. And then the day I knew Dr. Taylor was going to call, we were skipping school and we were in Kings Heath Park. And I was like, we were practicing his dad voice. We were like, put on the deep voice. When they call, you're going to be like, yeah, no, I'll have a word with him. No, that's not good. No. And so when he called, I acted like he was my dad. And then like, yeah. I remember the next day, Dr. Taylor kind of came in all smug, like, oh, I bet your dad gave you a good hiding, a good telling to you. And I was like, oh, it was harsh, but I got through it.
So we get to like GCSEs. We were told, listen, go and find other colleges. And alhamdulillah, pretty much all of our circle did really well.
Yeah, I think all of us did. In the end, I don't think
anyone that
achieved what we wanted to achieve.
Everyone wanted to go and do pharmacy, medicine, dentistry, whatever. Ended up getting there.
Yeah.
And so we had a great time. We didn't do much work through the year, but when it came down to it, one thing that the grammar school for me, and I think this is invaluable, it taught me how to get shit done.
Yeah.
And so if exam time came, how do you pass that exam? If you're faced with an obstacle, if you're faced with a challenge, how do you overcome it? Like it gave you this mindset of problem solving, being proactive, I
massively agree with that.
Being someone who's like, see a problem, but like, okay, how do I fix this? I can either look at it and worry about it, or I can go and find a solution. I can do the research, I can read, I can listen to something, I can watch something, and I'll be able to figure it out. That was the key takeaway for me.
And I think I agree with that massively, because I think thinking about myself or you or the rest of the boys, I think we're all very much logical thinkers, doers. This is the problem. This is what we need to do at the end of it. What's the straightest line to get that
We didn't start
solution?
like that though. That
No,
definitely
no.
came from the school.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what gave it. It's almost, I think probably why, alhamdulillah, a lot of us have been quite successful in our careers. I'm here now. This is where I need to be. How do I get there? The straightest line. And sometimes it can be a little bit perceived as a little bit ruthless, a little bit like, oh, don't you have any kind of sympathy? Why are you so kind of like dead set or cold hearted or whatever you want to call it? But it's like, no, this is what we need to achieve.
Yeah.
And everything else isn't good enough.
Yeah.
And I think that stems all the way back from, I need to get into grammar school. Nothing else is good enough. That school might be okay.
Yeah.
But that's not the school I need to get to.
Yeah.
Same with GCSEs, like, okay, C's and D's might be good enough, and no disrespect, that's good enough for you, it's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be perceived as very ruthless.
Yeah.
But I think that's what school taught us to be.
I think it's important though, when you live in a world where, you know, I've done business and I've encountered people and I'm often, you know, we talk about it a lot, and I'm often thinking to myself, I can see why you're where you are.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a harsh way. Let me explain, right? You got somebody who's doing business and, you know, they're doing all right. They're kind of treading water a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And you ask yourself, like, you've got all the processes in place. You're very good at what you do. You've got the skills. What is it that's holding you back from, you know, and I'm not saying, you know, a common theme on what we speak about is money's not be all and end all. It's very like, it's in on the grand scheme of things, it's quite insignificant. You need an amount to get by and pay your bills and stuff. But whether it brings you happiness or whatever else is, you know, pretty much everybody agrees that it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Right. But there's a level of comfort and there's a level of freedom that you can buy from having a good income, meaning that you can work less, meaning you can spend more time with your family, meaning you can spend more time on your health and fitness. Like eating healthy is expensive. It's not cheap. You know, to go and eat organic food without the E numbers and, you know, the less processed food, it takes time to prep it and whatever. So it kind of activates other things, right? And I'm like, I can see why you're kind of stuck where you are and you haven't been able to unlock that next level of whether it's progression in the career or next level of business. And it generally comes down to the ability to get shit done.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that one of the, I'll say it again, one of the biggest tools that I got from my experience at school was the ability to get shit done. Whether it's get a blazer to get through assembly, whether it's make sure your tie's done up just as you turn around the corner, maybe just keep your eyes open and be alert as to where the teachers are and when they're gonna come in. This is away from education now. It was just awareness. It was just
even in the education side, it's like having 11 subjects, massive textbooks, 6 pieces of homework a night. How are you going to get that done?
Yeah. And most of the time,
Tomorrow starts again.
We didn't do it, right? So we'd go in the morning, we'd gather around the canteen.
You got done
with someone's textbook, and we'd like, right, listen, you do it, but don't write that answer because it's going to look the same. There was a lot of thought that went into, and like you said before, if we'd have spent that amount of effort on actually doing the work, but what I'm saying is it taught you this. You had to be resourceful. You had to be a problem solver. You had to be creative with your ideas. You had to also be quite aware that, hold on, we can't just all submit the same piece of homework. Looking identical. So actually you make question 7 wrong and I'll make question 10 wrong and we'll do the working. Do you get what I'm trying to say? That the environment gave you that.
Yeah, of course it did.
And at the time, I think, you know, we were like grammar school this and teachers this, and, you know, you made the point about teachers you now, you know, look back and respect. I think that's the case for a lot of us.
Yeah.
There's teachers out there that really genuinely cared. I remember they used to say to me, like, I think it was Mrs. James. She had a huge role to play.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're so bright. You don't apply yourself. They cared.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know why. You could argue that they're well paid and they're well taken care of, whatever, but it was definitely
I think it's
a step beyond that.
Yeah, I think it's the right reasons to go into a career. It's a bit like a medic or a doctor.
Yeah.
You go into medicine because you want the money and the paycheck. You're going to be 15 years
no
without
one does
it.
No one does it
You're
for the
going to
money
give
and
up.
the paycheck. Yeah.
You have to have that patient care. You have to care about your patient. You're going to spend that extra 6 hours post shift to check in and do your rounds or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the terminology properly, but yeah. Same with teaching. To be at the top of your career, you have to care. And that's where that comes out. Mrs. James is a very common one from anyone that you speak to in our school. Her name gets thrown out a lot. People credit her a lot. Mr. Bulloch's a big one.
Yeah.
Dr. Taylor's a big one.
Yeah.
There's a few out there that you will still say in a negative way. They weren't the good teachers. No one will credit them.
Yeah. Because don't get me wrong, I think it's important to say there was an element of classism and I don't want to say racism, but there was definitely an element of
Oh yeah.
us being viewed as second-rate citizens, even within that environment, right?
Yeah.
There were certain people that just thought they were, had more privilege. Privilege is a point that we speak a lot about.
Yeah.
I saw an Instagram video yesterday, and it's like you got 100 people on the starting line,
Mhm.
and it says we're gonna have a race from point A to point B. But before we start, if any of what I'm about to say applies to you, take 2 steps forward. So it's like, take 2 steps forward if you went to a private school,
Mhm.
and half of the people, or more than, it's an American thing, but more than half the people 2 steps forward.
Mhm.
2 steps forward if you've never had to worry about where your next meal is coming from. 2 steps forward if you've never had to worry about your phone running out of credit.
Mm.
2 steps. And so once he's done it like 6 times, right, you find that most of the people at the back are
Yeah.
the people of color.
Yeah.
And he says to everybody, turn around and have a look. And he's like, everything I just mentioned, you had no control over, right?
Mm.
They were advantages given to you, not because of your skill, not because of your experience, not because of anything that you did, but they were just given to you
Yeah.
because of the environment you grew up in. So that guy back there who would smoke you in 100 meters,
Yeah.
who's now starting 60 meters behind,
Yeah.
right? This is what privilege is. And it did exist.
We're in, alhamdulillah, a more privileged position now.
No.
And the more privileged you are, and it doesn't apply to everyone. It's not a blanket term that I want to give out, but you lose your drive, you lose your motivation, you lose I've had it quite easy from my background. I've had this privilege. I've rode the wave through school. It's with us, it was, if we never did the education and the job, there's no money.
Yeah.
We're working in Greg's, and again, no disrespect to Greg's, but we're struggling.
Yeah. It was also quite inspiring at the time, although now I don't really care so much about it. But when you see somebody wearing these clothes or getting dropped off in this car or going on like the holidays to the Alps and going to Switzerland for skiing and stuff, I can never afford that, right? Like £1,200 or whatever it was a year. If you wanted to go on the ski trip,
I never went to I never went on a trip
do
ever.
you know what I mean? Like it was never possible.
Yeah.
But seeing that, being like, I want to be able to do that one day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you grow up and you're kind of, I guess, I'm not going to say discriminated against, because we had our own in Campo. I think we had a great time and a great balance, but there was definitely an element of, I feel like a second-rate citizen amongst certain people here.
Yeah.
That just drove me on more to be like, I ain't remaining a second-rate citizen. I want a good friend of mine, Carl Shaw. He has on his Instagram status, he says, I was born poor, but I guarantee I die rich.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily something that I wholeheartedly agree with and live by, but it's the mindset that he has of growing up in a council estate with nothing around him. And it's not just money, but it's support, right? You have this this vacuum of lack of knowledge and lack of expertise. As you're growing up, if your parents are teaching you about ISAs and investment and smart investing and mortgages and finance and etc., and how these things work, you're going to be better placed earlier. So I think definitely going to the school and being around the people we were being around and having the odd, thing said to you about what you're wearing and where you're going and whatever, definitely had a bearing for me specifically. It sent me down this mad rabbit hole of, right, I'm going to get rich. Which is not necessarily a great thing. I talk about it more on other shows and stuff, but it definitely helped with that inspiration to be like, okay, but I want to, because remember, coming from Spark Hill, Small Heath, the areas we were from, Washwood Heath, I hadn't seen this way of living before. I hadn't seen those clothes. I hadn't seen those cars. I hadn't seen those houses. Like the odd rare house party that we got invited to or went to. You walk up and you're like, what the hell is this, bro? Is that some 15-bedroom house with a trampoline and a swimming pool in the garden? I'm like, bro, this looks like Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
I think that definitely helped.
Yeah. I think so. It's good to do. What I was going to touch on the point is the whole, especially now, older, when people say, oh, I was born poor but die rich, I think you can look at it a little bit differently as well, that dying rich, not in a financial way only.
Exactly.
And I'm kind of applying my own experience in like the family you grow up in, stuff like that. I touched on it a little bit earlier, like when like Dr. Taylor caring and not having anyone actually care. You grew up in first generation immigrants that have come to this country. They only know so much. And I'm probably not alone in kind of a life experience where you don't really have positive male role models.
Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna speak for anyone else, but a lot of it is people that grew up, like the women raised them all. It wasn't any sort of positive male growing up. They're going more kind of on topic, we're talking about what it means to be a man and things like that. You don't have a not baseline. It's you see what's around you, and some might be that that's all they knew and that all they could help you with. Some might be just because they just weren't nice people and you had that in your life.
Yeah.
Gone away from the point a little bit of that dying rich. It's can you be that role model for the next generation, for your kids, for people in your circle?
Yeah.
That'd be like if your son turned around and was like, "Oh, I'm interested in, I don't know, law." You'd be like, "I've got a friend that can help you with that."
Exactly.
And there's a richness in that.
But it's our job to create those connections
Yeah.
and put ourselves in positions where we can sit in those rooms so we can pass it on to our children.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if your son calls you and says, I want to be a podcaster, right? Like, listen, right? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
similarly, what does rich mean?
But it's your job to create this. Our job now as dads, as people who are going to be dads, as parents, to create those connections and put ourselves in those rooms, in those conversations to build that trust, right? So that we can give our children that extra bit of privilege. And this isn't to say, unfortunately, it's just the way life is. You sometimes grow up and the starting hand that you're dealt is better than somebody else's.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be able to do that. I'd like to be able to put my children in positions where, they have as much of a head start as they can. Why wouldn't I?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm almost like, that's one of my determinations. I'm almost like, maybe it might be certain parts of it might be to my detriment where I'm just so laser focused on, I don't want my kids to have the childhood I did. And I'm not trying to play the card of, oh, it's been such a tough life. But it has been elements of it has been tougher.
No, it has.
And you can give a perspective. Yeah, I still had a roof over my head and dinner on the table. So I've had it better than a lot of the world out there. But just because you're not in that particular type of war-torn environment doesn't mean you've not had a hard life.
Sure.
And there were certain things that I faced challenges of. And when I tell people, because I didn't share with even you boys when I was, at the time, I remember speaking to one of our other friends about it, that it was almost a bit of shame not talking about it. Talking about it back then, because you'll get labeled as the poor boy, or you don't have this and you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, as you grow up, you're a little bit more mature. You develop more real relationships with your mates. You can speak about it a little bit more. But little things like, I couldn't afford, I had to choose in the morning whether to get lunch or bus fare, because that's the only money I had. Do I pay to get to school or do I pay to eat meals? And more time I would pay to get to school, and like the amount of times you've paid for my lunch back in the day, you probably don't even realize it or remember it.
Hold on.
But
I need to say something here. As I was going to mention it before, I'm going to forget. Sorry, I apologize.
Go on.
There was something that happened in school. You won't remember it. You might not remember it, right? Same way you said to me about lunch. And I specifically remember going to JD Sports on the corner of Corporation Street, I think. And they had the Air Max, the 110s.
Yeah.
And I wanted the 110s. And so I checked my bank account. I had a part-time job back then. I didn't have enough money in my account. And I specifically remember you saying, let me check if my loan's dropped. You put your card in the machine. You took out £110. I think your balance, I remember it was like 120. So you basically, at this point, emptied your account and gave it to me so I could go buy trainers. At the time, obviously, I was like, oh, wicked, yeah, I'll just pay you back. And I'm sure I did. But for someone who doesn't have a lot of money, and money is a lot more precious, a lot more valuable, that really sat with me, bro. I have to say that, like, you mentioned about the lunch thing, but that one event, I was like, wow, I think I was like, he emptied his account for me to buy trainers. Like trivial and like, I understand I need to eat, bro. Here, have some food. It's different. But to me, I'm just ready to buy some trainers. And you've just emptied your account. Now, I remember how much that loan meant to you, because you hardly ever got it. Not the loan, sorry, the bonus.
Yeah, the EMA bonus.
You only get the bonus if you turn up on time, and you never turned up on time. So for you to have that bonus in your account, right? And now knowing that, that was his lunch money, his travel money, his blazer, his trainers, his school stuff for the next term, and you pulling it out, but that to me just, it sat with me for a long time, bro. Like, it genuinely is like, it's like, shit, that was a gesture and a half, man. And it's like, it's really, really sat with me. I was like, the more I think about it, I think that's mad. But yeah, sorry, I go back to your point. I just had to say that because
I appreciate that. I think it's just, again, it comes down to just your moral compass, the way you're brought up. Like, but listen, probably at the time, just reflecting back on who I was, what I am now, type of thing. It probably was that tenner was enough to survive
for the week or whatever,
the week or the 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, you probably said I'll hit you back in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, we had a part time. I'll get paid at the end of the month. I was like, oh, for the next week, £10 enough for me. Yeah, I know you're good for it. Job's a good one to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and I think I would still be very much like that now.
Yeah, I
It's
think you
just
would.
like, actually, if someone does need it or wants it and I know they're good for it and I've got mine or what I need, it's fine. I look back on it now, again, what we were saying earlier about when we were a kid, it's just water off the duck's back. You just think, as long as I get through today, I know I was so very much like that. If I get through today, tomorrow is tomorrow's problem.
Yeah.
I don't think about tomorrow. If I can get to school today, because I've got, back in the day, I think it was like, what, short hop was like 37p or something. It wasn't the nicest thing. It was kind of, it felt a little bit shitty. Well,
It would do though, because you got people around you like.
yeah, but as in
It's
like
not-
back then you weren't able to explain it and speak openly like
Yeah.
this. I couldn't come up to you and be like, "Oh, but I ain't got no money," because as kids, and I would have been the
Yeah,
same. Like,
yeah,
what do you mean
yeah.
you don't have money? You
You wouldn't do
poor?
that.
You this,
Yeah,
you that,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
tell someone else, and then you'd be labeled the poor kid.
Yeah.
Just like I got labeled tree as being the lanky kid, and you're getting taught out this. It's just you get labeled things, and so a kid, you're very much you're hiding things.
Yeah.
And so it's not the nicest thing where in sixth form we were allowed to go out into the high street, and it would be, "I'll come to the high street, we can eat." Everyone's excited about being able to go, and it always sounds silly, but being able to go Greg's or being able to go King Kebab or whatever it is. And I'm there
times.
like, I ain't got the money this week, and I've already asked him twice, so today I'm just gonna stay in the sixth form block and pretend like I'm not hungry. And I don't ever want that for
Your
my
children.
future
Yeah, yeah,
generation. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just people think of like, "Oh, why are you so like about it?" It's like, why are you thinking about those type of things? Why? And it's just like, because you could fall into that
Unless
trap.
you've lived it, you don't
so-
understand.
Yeah, it's horrible to live. And only when you come out of it, you look back and think, actually, if I was thrown into those shoes now with this same brain, would I be able to survive it? Probably not. It's just because I was a kid, I was just like, you know what, doesn't matter. But now you think I wouldn't want your child to go through it or someone random's child to go through it. Forget my own child to go through it. Like, so you become very, I need to set it up in a way that even if I'm not here tomorrow, they don't have to go out and do this or that. I think that's kind of that, going back to all the way to the original point of this born poor and die rich. It's having all of that, the love, the guidance, the being able to come, that I couldn't go to my dad and be like, "Oh, by the way, I haven't got bus fare." It'd be like, "What do you want me to do about it?" Now, I don't want to be that person ever.
I guess it activates everything else as well, right? For you to be a supportive father,
Yeah.
you've got to have other things in order. Like you can't be a supportive father working 19 hours a day, right? You can't be a supportive father if you're ill or if you have loads. I don't know, life and death and illness is in God's hands, but we can definitely do certain things that mitigate the risk of us, developing certain conditions at certain ages, inability to move. You want to be somebody who can run and play football.
Sure.
Like, you love football. You're good at football. You want to play football with your son. You want to play football with your daughter. You want to, play PlayStation, whatever it is you want to do. There are things that as parents, we need to do to find that balance, to enable us to do that. Because yes, you can provide your kids with all the money they need, but if you're not there for them, as you said, as an ear, as a support, as a guide, as a friend almost, to be like, actually, you know what? This is a safe space. You can come and talk about whatever you want here. For us as men at our age, right, who are new dads, just become dads, children. My children aren't teenagers yet. So many challenges that we're gonna face.
Yeah.
We need to help each other and empower each other to be like, actually try this, because by doing that, you might free some time up. And by freeing some time up, you can spend more time with your children. They're happier, you're happier, the wife's happy, the family's happy. It's about finding this balance.
Me and Sid had a conversation a while back. I don't know if he remembers it. And we were just generally talking about life and losses and kind of how we came over that and like the way we reacted to each other's losses and stuff like that. And I remember Sid said a line, paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly, but he said something that we were basically just dumb kids trying to teach ourselves how to like navigate the world.
Yep.
And I think that's the value of something like this, or being able to, what you said about community and all that.
Talk,
It's, you shouldn't have kids having to try and figure out how to do it themselves because they're kids.
Yeah.
Like, because it always stays with you. If you are forced to be an adult too early, you've lost your childhood. So sometimes it goes the wrong way when you become an adult. You hold on to your childhood and you look at it as an overgrown kid and you're like, what are you doing with your life? Why are you behaving like this? You're an adult. You need to have a time when you're kids, and you need someone to help navigate you, because if they don't have it in their life, the community, the skill set, the circle, they need access to something. And when there's a lot of bad on the internet.
That's what I was going to say. It's even more important now.
Yeah.
If you leave a child now to navigate themselves, we were fairly okay because there was still kind of a protected bubble, right? But I used to be after if school finished at 3:15. I had to be home by 3:35.
Yeah.
When I was living closer, if not 4 o'clock. If I was home at 4 o'clock, I'm getting beats.
Yeah.
There was no house parties. There was no going out on Saturdays. There was no going out. Nowadays, even MSN, you had to plug the internet in. Remember, and it used to make the phone go engaged. So my dad used to know, like, he's on the internet half an hour max.
There was
once a week.
one desktop computer that the whole house shared.
Exactly.
So you knew you were on the internet. You were
Whereas
on the
now,
computer,
if you
not.
leave children now to figure it out themselves, and as I said this before, and it's a powerful line, I'll keep saying it. If you're not the role model for your children, someone else will become the role model for your children. Your children are going to come home and say, oh, I wish dad was like him.
Yeah, for sure.
Or so-and-so's mum or so-and-so's dad is so cool. I want my dad to be like that. And unfortunately, it's not just a case of being intellectual. It's not just a case of having good finances. It's how you appear, right? Your son is going to model himself on you. Your daughter is going to model herself on your wife, on her mother. And so these are things that are really important, especially now, like to get their attention and keep it when you're fighting all of this attention on social media and YouTube and entertainment.
Yeah.
It's doubly hard.
Yeah.
So I think that point you made is key. Now more than ever is not the time to leave children to figure it out themselves, where it can be avoided. And so hopefully we'll be able to provide support for various elements of this, from the learning. You know, there's so much. I'm sure we'll speak again, and we'll speak again and again, whether it comes to physical fitness. Like, you know, mashallah, you've maintained a very regimented training regime for 2 decades. When you think about it like that, like a decade and a half, you know, of consistently training, eating well. I don't remember last time I've seen you had a fizzy drink. Those things have obviously led to a certain amount of clarity, certain amount of improved performance, certain amount of time. In terms of time to dedicate to certain things in the right place. So these are things we want to talk about, want to share. We had more things that we potentially wanted to talk about, but I think we've been shooting for like 1 hour and 20 minutes now. So I'm sweating because it's baking in here. So I think we call it there. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. We will definitely let me know when you're free next.
Yeah.
We'll catch up again.